and I'm an American who lives in Saint Petersburg, Russia. And joining me today is another American who lives in Russia. And what is your name?
My name's Alexander Lee.
Yes. So today we're going to interview another American who lives here and figure out why he decided to live here. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. So, Alexander, if you could just tell us very, very briefly about, I want to know when you first came here for the first time and why initially you decided to come here.
Yeah, so the first time I probably came to Russia was when I was like a kid, because my mom's Russian. I was born in the US, but every summer my family would come and visit my family here in Russia. But I never thought that I was going to live full time in Russia. It was only in 2017, after finishing high school in the United States, I realized that I didn't want to go into debt in the United States by going to some university. So in 2017, I decided to apply to the university in Moscow, and that's when I moved here full time.
Okay, so you had been here previously during your childhood?
Yeah.
But was there a gap in between, like, that time from 2017 to before that, like a big gap? Because maybe you don't really remember some things from, like, your young childhood coming here?
Yeah, I mean, I would come almost once a year. So either in the winter time or in the summertime for about a week or 2 weeks, just to visit family.
So you'd been here a lot before your move.
Yeah.
So you were already kind of like familiar with what to expect before coming here. Okay, cool. And you said that your mother's Russian, right?
That's correct.
But your father is not Russian?
Yeah, he's from Tennessee.
He's from Tennessee. Okay. And how did your parents meet, by the way? Because, I mean, this is 25, 30 years ago. How did an American and a Russian meet?
Yeah, so after the fall of the Soviet Union, my dad came to Moscow in 1992, I think. And he was like one of the first Americans to like actually come to Moscow after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And yeah, he was just actually, they met on Arbok here. That's actually really interesting.
We're on Arbot Street, just to reference that, by the way, so that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think my mom was like working, like selling some sort of like souvenirs or something, like, and that's how they met.
Wow, it's like a classic love story.
So
okay, so let's bring it back to 2017. So you moved here in what, summer 2017, fall
of 2017.
Okay, what were like some of the most difficult challenges you faced moving here? Because obviously it's different being a tourist, and now you were living here on your own, right?
Yeah.
And how old were you in 2017?
I was 18.
Dude, okay, freshman in college.
Yeah. So it was difficult because like the university I went to, it was completely different than like the Russian educational system is completely different than what the United States, like what we experience in the United States. So it was difficult adapting to that. Like in Russia, they're much more like hardcore when it comes to education. Whereas like I was expecting more of like a traditional American like university where it's just a little bit more laid back. But the university that I went to was like very hardcore. Everyone's like super studious. So I think that was a little bit of a shock.
Were your courses in English or in Russian?
Everything was in Russian.
Everything was in Russian. Now, did you speak Russian up until that point?
No, so at that point in 2017, I actually didn't, so when I first came to Moscow and came to that university, I didn't like apply for the 4-year program. I just took Russian classes. So I would just go to random classes and just try to learn the language. So,
I know a lot of Africans who move here. They do the same thing. The first year it's kind of like dedicated to learning Russian, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I didn't know how to read, didn't know how to like write at all. I was just going to random classes and just meeting people and.
So why is it? So Alexander John Lee here, he has his own YouTube channel, which is popping. So you said in that video that you would advise every foreigner to have a B2 level of Russian before moving here, but you did not have that, and I did not have that, but we are still thriving. So explain that a little bit.
No, I mean my conversational level of Russian was pretty high, so I knew how to talk to people. But the thing is, like at the level of Russian at the university was beyond,
it's different.
Yeah, I could just like talk to people like daily stuff, but I couldn't like really understand. Like I would go to the university, like the lectures at the university, and I couldn't understand anything. It would just be these big words that I didn't know how to like understand. So that's why I recommend like people to know just a little bit of Russian.
Sure.
So you can at least communicate at a very minimal level.
Right. So for all foreigners who are potentially watching this video, try to learn Russian to at least, I would say, like an A2 to A2 plus level before coming here, because it will just make your life so much easier here. So much easier, right?
I agree. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost because a lot of Russians, they don't speak English very well. like in Europe, everyone speaks English, but in Russia, not many Russians speak English very well.
Right, right. So it is a little bit ignorant to come here, like I did, especially when I first moved here. I did not speak Russian at all, hardly. And even though I did everything by myself for the most part, there are some instances where, like, going to the doctor, for example, you don't know if they speak English, and then you're calling your Russian friend, like, dude, can you please come with me, like, and translate some things for me? So you don't want to be in that situation. You kind of want to have like a decent level of Russian to where you can at least communicate a little bit. Okay, so 2017 rolls around, you enrolled in university here. What were, like, throughout that year, that first year, what did you realize that stuck in your head is like, maybe I want to continue staying here for like a long term?
Like, what made me stay exactly?
Yeah.
Well, there was many times I thought I was going to quit the university. Like, there were 3 or 4 times where I was like, fuck this, I'm leaving, like, I'm done with this university. But honestly, I wanted to finish. I think I had started the university, and just the fact that I didn't, like, just the idea that I wouldn't finish the university, that's what kept me there.
Okay.
And I had a girlfriend at the time who also, like, really wanted to keep
there we go. There we go. Now we found out.
So yeah, I mean, just, I don't know, and I like living in Moscow. Moscow, the thought of leaving is like really sad. Like, just the thought going back to the United States or just leaving kind of made me depressed. So it's just always the easiest decision was to stay in Moscow.
Well, why did you choose Moscow, not Saint Pete, for example? Because as far as I understand, Saint Pete has more universities than Moscow, or it's more known for its university.
Yeah, I mean, so my mom's from Moscow, so I have family here. And I don't know, Moscow is much more developed, and it's much more westernized than St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg, I like St. Petersburg, but it's sort of like a village. It's kind of secluded. I mean, like, it's hard to get to. I mean, like, if you're flying from Europe, like, it's easier to get to Moscow than it is to, like, St. Petersburg. So yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of natural that I'm going to be in Moscow.
Was it difficult for you, your first year moving here, to make friends and kind of meet people? Because you were from Western, yes, we can say that you have some Russian roots and everything like that, and you've been here previously many times, but was it difficult to make friends here?
I think so, yeah. It's interesting because, like, most of my friends at the university were also, like, foreigners. I had very few at the university, at least, like, Russian friends. So it was difficult. I think there's a different mentality. That's why I think, like, a lot of foreigners, they become friends from the university. So,
yeah, they stick to each other. Yeah. And one thing I've noticed is, like, I can't talk with Russians about sports culture at all, because I follow American football, basketball, baseball a little bit, but I realized I couldn't have a single conversation with them here because Russians don't know even the basic rules of American football, right? So for me, it's like, this is one area that I just have to cut out where I can't have conversations with people about it. So,
is that important to you to, like, be able to talk to people, like, to bond over sports?
No, well, it's not like the main thing, of course, but it's just one area where in American culture, Sunday football, Saturday college football, like, people dedicate, like, their lives to this. You know, like, I mean, they go to work and then boom, Monday night football, Thursday night football, Saturday college football, boom, Sunday NFL. You know what I mean?
Do you think football is sort of like a distraction from, like, the world events? It's like
that's another conversation topic. Yes, we can say that all of these sporting events are a big distraction for stuff. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, in retrospect to having conversations with Russians, if you were involved in sports, maybe you did high school football and did all this stuff, like these areas of conversations you just could not have with Russians. And you know,
talk about, like, soccer. I mean, I think a lot of Russians watch, soccer and hockey, and there's other sports. It's not just like American football.
Sure. Okay, so you completed your university here, right? 4 years, bachelor's, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and after your bachelor's, did you stay here or did you go back to the U.S.?
So I finished in 2023, and last year I've just been traveling pretty much. Sort of bouncing 50% in the United States, 50% here, so I only finished, like, last year.
Okay. And why 2023, by the way? Because if you started in 2017, COVID problem?
Yeah, so I came in 2017, took a year to learn Russian, then 2 years at the university, then I took a year off during COVID, and then came back and finished the last 2 years. So that's why it took me, like, 6 years to finish my bachelor's degree.
Sure.
So,
well, you finished it, so you got the diploma, and now you're doing very well as a programmer. So you've probably seen the trends where there are more and more foreigners making videos about life in Russia, and maybe you've seen, obviously, comments on your YouTube channel where you see people commenting about they're considering moving to Russia. Why do you think that this trend is just now starting to become more and more popular?
I think the lie in the United States that Russia is some sort of backwards country, the lie is disappearing. And people are finally realizing that life in Russia is pretty normal. And people want to escape the West, all this LGBTQ propaganda. It just, people see this insane propaganda in the United States and they want to live in a country that's more or less normal. So I think that's why there's this allure of Westerners. A lot of people just want to move here for just normalcy.
Okay, fair enough. And would you say that it would be a smart decision for a lot of the people who are maybe in their 30s or 40s to consider moving here? Because some guys in their 40s, they're like considering selling their house, they're considering like maybe quitting their job and then maybe moving here. Like, or what advice would you give to a Westerner who's considering moving here?
Yeah, so it depends what you want. If I would not recommend just selling everything and moving here, but without like ever having spent any significant amount of time in Russia. Right. You definitely need to know what you're getting into before you actually come here. So, my recommendation would be just to come and visit for like a couple months and just like rent an apartment, more of like long term, not just like a week or two.
Right. Live here. Don't be just a tourist.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be my first recommendation. And understand that salaries here are much lower than what you have in the United States. You need to know what you're going to be doing here before you actually decide to take the plunge and move here. So yeah, that was my recommendation.
Yeah. Good advice. Well, Igor, how long has it been going on for?
12 minutes.
Okay. I was interjecting. Last thing. 3 things to summarize about yourself. How would you describe yourself and life in Russia here?
I would describe myself as a person who goes where they're treated best, someone who is always looking for a new opportunity, and someone who is willing to take risks if it means that I know there's some reward that I could potentially get from that risk. That's how I would describe myself.
Nice. Okay, let's make the thumbnail right now. Let's do this and like hold it, and I'll put like, yes.